is the Parks Commission meeting for April 1st with all three commissioners in attendance, and the meeting is being recorded for the purposes of open meeting law. I guess we will call to order.
Say that we have a guest.
11:04. Oh yeah, we have a guest, Jen O'Neill, the town's HR coordinator. Let me find our agenda just to see. So the main thing is to hopefully review and vote on hiring all the summer staff. And then I can update you on a few other, the field lighting and all that.
It's funny, I'm almost blown away by the number of people, number of hires. It's God, we've come so far, huh?
And we go through this every year, and it quite honestly, it sucks. Like, they're all good.
Yeah.
So, you know,
That's
and I
good.
think the more we can hire, the better. And just whether we truly, you know, how many people do we need?
Mm.
All right, yeah. So I broke it. I sent it to you, but I'll put it up on the screen. The let me just figure out how to do this. So I don't share everything. Share screen. I think that's the one we want. No, where's the file?
Yeah, it's up there.
Okay. I want to share this in the meeting. All right. So I figured it's easier to do it in chunks.
Yep.
So maintenance, this is the returning, come on, normal size. The same crew, this is the four people we had last year. I just did 25-cent raises, which has been our standard. And then it sounds like, so this position is in the budget. And so then when that goes through, they would basically join the crew. We're going to lose Sam Audit, I think in mid-July, he goes away. So that actually works out. Because we don't.
Done.
Yeah, I forget exactly what he said. Hang
Go
on.
away for a month or so. Or some other commitment.
I won't be able to work after August 8th. I think I feel like it's a sports really moving.
Mm. Yeah.
Right. But so that works out. And then I'm thinking we can have Brian start like the week before opening day, when it's like the 15th, 16th. I mean, opening day is the 26th. Figure we get everything going, get the field, get one good mow. Hopefully it'll dry out by then.
Mm.
We may have to supplement a little bit with revolving funds because we had Brian work late, but I think it's worth it if he's available to work. We might as well pay him. Yes. Yeah, Brian, Cage, Sam, and Gavin. So that's the proposal, if you're good with that, or if there's any.
Yeah, it sounds good.
I think
We need a motion.
I would, do you want to do it? I can.
Make a motion to hire the 4 returning employees: Brian St. John, Cage, Samuel, Gavin, with 25-cent an hour raise.
I usually just say like pending background check and all that. Mumbo jumbo.
But they're returning, so we wouldn't have to do.
I do it for everybody. I mean, it's tricky because for a person under the age 18, the Corey checks are basically they're not going to return anything because it's all sealed. But I figure for a free typing things into a database versus the alternative, it can't hurt. But yeah, we were just having everybody do it every year unless it's different. All right, so I'll second.
All in favor?
So Dan, I.
Aye.
Yeah.
I'll clean this up. This is my notes. All right. So that's maintenance. Then we have the rec program. So I don't know if we want to just do the rec and then vote on the junior counselors.
We'll take them all.
Do it all. I did it all in one big chart. So
A couple questions.
yeah, there's a few specific things. So program director is Alan, assistant is Jen. The rec managers, we've got Sam, who's returning. We're promoting Riley from a senior counselor to the role of rec manager. We're then promoting 2 of the counselors, Iris and Maddie, up to senior counselor. So then you have these 5 senior counselors: Matt, Ellie, Julia, Maddie, and Iris. And then we have 25 counselors. These are all returning. As discussed previously, the previous junior counselors are returning, who were 13, are returning as counselors at $15.25. Again, for most of these, they all got 25-cent raises. The senior counselors, I have them starting at 16, and then these three have a little bit more because they were senior counselors last year. I also tried to bump the rec manager up. Last year we were doing $15.50 for senior and 16 for a rec manager. I think, we're paying lifeguards 17. And anything we can do to keep some of these upper level people around, and the more returning people we have, the better our program is, the less stress it is. And then specific for Alan, he's again requesting that as part of his compensation that we would allow his 2 kids to attend for 3 days a week, which we've done. Which I realize maybe is a somewhat sizable benefit, but again, he's worth every penny.
Yeah.
Everything is, him and Jen.
So can I just ask a question?
Yes.
So Matt, Ellie are going up 50 cents because we're bringing in the other 2 senior counselors at $16 rate.
So Matt and Ellie previously were $15.25, so they got a 50-cent raise. Oh no, sorry, I read the wrong column. They were $15.75.
So why is Julia not going up to 16? Everyone else is getting it.
Yeah, I guess that would make more sense. I didn't put the whole history on the screen, but I think I'll put this. I don't want to share that just it's public record, but it's a little bit invasive. So you think, yeah, we could do that. So Julia's been a senior counselor for 2 years. Matt and Ellie were senior counselor for 1 year. So I suppose technically we could give her another 25 cents. It costs us, that's like $100, $300 if she works 40 hours. And then I think the 2 new ones, so they were $15.50. We had to give them something to be a senior counselor because we were starting senior at $15.50. So are you guys good with making her 50 cents?
Yep.
I'm going to change it here. This is the final sheet. And then also for clarity, so I have Alan got a 50-cent raise. Jen, I actually gave her a $1 raise. Again, I'm trying to get her closer to Alan in pay. And same with Sam, and then Riley, I have at $17.50 as a new rec manager. This may end up being her last year, but we have at least two more really strong candidates for rec manager. I think the junior counselor thing has really worked out in terms of building. So that's
certainly grown. Can we get back to Jen for a second?
Yeah.
You comfortable with her getting the 24? I know it seemed like she was doing a lot of work as well. Like she's pretty comparable in the amount of work she does with.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
yeah,
I defer to you guys.
Yeah,
What's reasonable to pay? It's hard to you look at the raise versus the rate. We have had some discussions about potentially restructuring to more of a co-director format at some point in the future. I think, if we can build up more people, so like Sam is a teacher, so hopefully she's around. We could transition in that direction. So I would, I'd be willing to do a little more. I don't know if 50 cents is enough for Alan. I figured because of the kids as well, or if, in the past we've given anything from 75 cents to $1.
Fair,
Yeah.
especially
He's making a lot of money.
2 kids, 3 days a week is a pretty substantial benefit.
$3,000, $3,200 something, yeah. And it's worth noting he makes more than I do, even though it's seasonal. But again, he's worth every penny. If that's what it takes to get somebody in. So do you think we should change Jen a little bit, or?
I was just you just mentioned.
Yeah,
you felt like she was.
I would, we give her $24.50. Is that fair?
What's the market paying
Not entirely sure. I haven't looked in a while. I know some of the other positions like lifeguard we've researched because we've had to compete.
I'm fine with giving them $1.50 an hour.
The program is generating, not that it's meant to generate profits. I know that's not the right word, but the program's in really good shape. Put it that way. I mean, the last time I looked, we had 9 days that had less than 30 spots left. It wasn't even April. So this is the final list. Let me just scroll down so the rest of this is captured. So you want to maybe vote on?
Yeah, could I just back up for one
Yep.
sec? So you, just for the record, you, Jen, and Alan went over all these. You guys have had that discussion.
Yeah, sorry, we should explain. So the way we did this, myself, Jen O'Neill, Jen St. John, and Alan interviewed all the candidates
Yep.
for the rec.
Yep.
All the junior counselors. We did not re-interview returning, so we interviewed the junior counselors. We interviewed Riley, Matt, and Ellie as candidates for the rec manager position. We did not interview Maddie and Iris, but we have interviewed them in the past.
Yep.
We figured, so they're the two most senior employees. We were going to promote them. We didn't think it needed to waste time interviewing. They worked for us enough that was an interview.
Yeah, that's the important.
Yeah.
Important point for me anyways, is that you guys know who can, work for us and you're comfortable with them coming
Right.
back. So you guys had that discussion. So this has all been thoroughly vetted,
Yeah. And then we got Jen. So some of them, I think we got Jen's comments on. I mean, we'll talk about how we did the counselors, junior counselors. And then we interviewed lifeguard and shack candidates.
Okay.
And then were there to be any maintenance candidates, the plan was to do them in this commission, which is what we've done in the past.
Yeah.
I think, now going forwards for next year, assuming this new position happens, maybe it makes sense to have them involved with those seasonal people so they can have input on who they would work with.
Mhm.
And certainly that full-time position will be a more formal committee.
Yeah.
Because that's a legit full-time town position.
Okay.
So that's the list. So maybe, or I'll make a motion to hire the rec program director, assistant director, rec managers, senior counselors, and counselors as listed, pending clear background checks.
And you have a general sense of how many of these candidates decline? Is it maybe like less than 1%, like really small number?
We usually lose one or two every year.
Yeah.
So this is, we hired, I think I said we hired 26 last year. We ended up with 23.
Right.
This year we're hiring 25 plus an extra senior counselor. I would not be surprised if none of these decline. They're all returning. They've all expressed interest, but sometimes people's plans change. Like we had one applicant who got an internship opportunity.
Yeah, right.
We had another who, unfortunately fell through.
Yeah. Okay.
I know like with the camp we're working to, I would say we're fully staffed, but we added an extra shift to help out kind of supervising kids down at the beach, that kind of thing.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, so that, I guess it's all in favor.
You second? Yeah, all in favor.
All right. And then next is the junior counselor listing. So just to summarize, let me find my other notes. Oh, for crying out loud. I just want to read off the numbers that we had. So we had 33 applicants. We interviewed 15. We were really thinking we were only going to hire 5 or 6. We are not going to be able to keep all 11 of these next year. We just, even keeping everyone from last year was a little bit tight. And I think we're going to have to make that clear in the initial offer that this is not a guarantee of future employment. Basically, it's a 1 year, 1 summer working interview.
Yeah.
And we're going to have to pick 5 or 6 of these that we think are able to move on, depending on who leaves us.
So with the hours, are they overlapping a lot, or are you able to really spread it out? So every day there's like,
Yeah, so what we did last year, we did one for groups 1 and 2, each had a junior counselor. I'm trying to remember if we had 2 a day or we just had them work. I feel like we had an AM and a PM shift. So
Yeah.
that was 4 a day, Monday through Friday. On the field trip days, we brought in more of them just to have extra bodies.
Yeah.
Because some of the trips we break the kids down into smaller groups so that they can take a junior counselor with them. They all worked 10 to 15 hours, but probably closer to 10. It was probably 2 shifts a week.
yeah,
Was not a whole lot.
yeah,
So as discussed, so it'd be minimum wage is 15 an hour. So that's why I figured with the counselors, they're all at 15.25. So that's the listing. I don't know if there's any feedback or I think what we ended up doing is the 4 of us voted on these and said basically 2 for yes, 1 for maybe, 0 for no, and then summed that up. And that's how we came out to this list. And actually, I think we were pretty much all in the same line. We did have a few late applicants, a couple we tried to interview. It's nice to try and get a balance of male and female candidates,
yeah,
just because I think, certain kids relate better to other kids. And
right, yeah,
it's helpful to have,
And my suggestion, and I made this to the
Yeah.
I think for interviews, especially for the junior positions, they should all be in person.
oh yeah, we did run into a little bit of issue of, I think, at a minimum requiring, it was somebody that didn't have the camera on, couple, yeah. And I think, but maybe with the junior counselor, they're all local versus, a kid that's in college, it's a little different. I think that's a good idea.
yeah,
I was very impressed with, these are 14, 15-year-old kids. I was very impressed with how they interviewed.
it's funny, I know this is off the topic a bit, but it's why people want to live in Mendon. I think the school system's just that well,
They
it's
just,
that good, and these kids are bright kids.
I mean, obviously nervous,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, there were, maybe I won't say that in the recording. There were people that were very improved. I think it's a good opportunity to provide people. So
and I know Nipmuc is working on some programs for their students to do internships and things like that and do some interviewing skills and stuff. So
yeah, it'd be interesting to see how this opportunity with the town plays out, and then if that can grow in the future. The town's I think we're getting an intern, and this is sort of a career shadow thing, right?
yes.
So that'll be cool.
I'm excited about that.
So that is the listing of those.
emotional.
I guess, yeah, I'll make a motion to hire these as listed pending background checks.
Second.
All in favor?
All right. Then we have lifeguards. This is what took me forever to figure out what to do here. We had some really good applicants for lifeguard, which is weird. Not that we don't get any applicants. Not that the ones we get are bad. We just don't get a lot.
Right. Never have, really.
I tried to hire as many as I thought we could. We have some returning people. Usually the returning people have some tricky schedules. I know a couple of them have second jobs or work multiple locations. So I'm recommending hiring. So these 4 these 5 are new to us. And then the ones with all parentheses are the returning employees. Charlie, the recommendation is actually primarily to hire her in the snack shack,
Right.
because she applied for both, but she's guard certified and I think she could work as a fill-in.
Yeah.
there's a couple of these people that have some management experience that I think we could train into stepping up into this beach director role. One of them came from Upton and was what they call a program director, but is similar to our senior counselor. And we actually had previously employed a relative of hers who was also very good. So
No applicants for the position.
no, the one candidate we had, I tried to talk her into it and talk through what we were looking for, but she decided it wasn't for her.
Oh, okay.
I think
That blows me away.
I think finding somebody that's certified that is not like those, the few people with that skill set are going to go manage a
Yeah.
large facility somewhere.
Mm.
But I think if we could get one of these people and from the beginning work them towards that with the idea that we've got somebody that's going to stick with us for several years, that would be a big step. Plus now with these proposed new changes, that will hopefully free me up to have more time to spend at the beach focusing on our programming versus having to go deal with, the flat tire on the mower
Right. Yeah.
in the middle of July. Yeah. Well, with any luck, it'll be our new person that can handle it. Yeah. Those fake run flat things on that mower, like the wheel they're called on that big mower, they're great.
Mm.
So that's the list. Starting new at 17 an hour, which is honestly probably on the low side, but competitive with what's out there. But the fact that we got applications is good.
Yeah.
I forget, what did I say about certifications? 3 are already certified, 2 are signed up to take the class. So I think based on what we discussed, we would then reimburse for training for just those 2 that are getting certified, not the ones who had certification brought to us.
Right.
Make a motion to
That's that.
hire the lifeguards as listed above. Subject.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. And then last is Snack Shack. I highlighted Brandon just because it was a typo in the initial thing I sent out. He should be 1525. I had him at 15, but he was a returning person. I just want to forget to mention that. So this is the listing for Shack. Proposing hiring 3 new people. We had like 28 apps. We offered interviews to 5. 2 of them dropped. We ended up with 3 interviews. Honestly, they were all good. It was a toss up, 4 interviews. I ended up going with Rachel because she had the most availability, and that's the struggle with the Shack is we lose everybody, and then I end up working on the Shack that last week, which I would love. I mean, it's been a few years, but I'd love to not do that anymore.
Well, I was surprised at how early BBT starts.
That kills us.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely kills us every year between PBT and football tryouts.
Yeah, it's early, much earlier, yeah.
So
Make a motion to hire Snack Shack employees as listed above, subject to background check.
a second.
All in favor?
That's
I'm gonna bring my laptop, work on the beach.
actually that. That's that was a mistake. A few times we had to have emergency meetings in the classroom, and we're like, "This was a terrible idea."
Oh,
Beach house.
Does the Wi-Fi make it?
Beautiful.
Yes.
Beautiful down there.
Yeah, we should send something out this year to let people know, like, hey, there's Wi-Fi. I know I see Isabel outside. I've seen James outside. Just to say, hey, well, I met at the beach. Go have your lunch, and I mean, we could talk. In the past, we've done half off for our employees. Whether we extended that to other employees for food, I mean, might be I don't know if anybody's looking for whatever, but it might be a way to get some people, especially if people have families and then come back, and as we have more workers from other towns. So that
Interesting. Town employee.
the hiring.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah, Cheaton Hill. That's good stuff.
Let me find the agenda just to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. The field lighting, I sent an email, but just to recap for the meeting, I met with them again. He's supposed to reach out to me this week. They want to get started with the drilling. He thinks he can do the drilling with a smaller skid steer to minimize damage, and he thinks he can stand the poles up with a smaller truck and not a crane. Because if they need a crane, it's going to be ugly. But I think that's a fair trade-off for fancy new lights. They're getting us a proposal on a change order requested by baseball to add an outlet at the base of the scoreboard, which baseball said they would pay for, and we actually have all the parts for it. I mean, it's trivial. And they also said they will replace the panel at the baseball field. I met with him, showed him the panel we already have that we bought previously. He thinks he can just do it. So that will be a huge help. They have sent us an invoice, and I think given the scope of this project, similar to the beach, we should vote on these bills. These are big numbers. So this is their first invoice primarily for materials. I will zoom it in, find the number. I believe they are invoicing us for $215,500. Sorry, there's a chart on here somewhere that says what this is for.
Just here for the hiring.
Pretty much.
Oh,
I might sneak it.
sorry. So it's $5,000 for mobilization delivery, $65,000 for conduit, and then $204,000 for supplies for Musco, which is all the lights. Everything's there. So I don't know if you guys are okay with authorizing me to sign this voucher and pay this bill. We probably should take a vote on that.
I'd make a motion to pay the balance due to Island Lighting.
Yeah, Highland Lighting and Power. So I'll second.
Yeah, all in favor?
And I did, so that this is the company that did the work in Milford. I found out, if we want to look, I have used this Musco system before. It's all like web-based. You just load in the times. So this will be really nice.
Yeah, cool. That's great.
Step out.
Yeah.
You know, afterwards.
Yeah. I'll check it. If you're here, I'll come up and see you.
She's gonna be at Highway at work.
All right, I'll do it as soon as we'll be done. And then I don't know, maybe we should vote now so they can mobilize. Are we okay? Well, maybe we should wait till we have a number to vote on the change order for the outlet on the parking lot lights. Maybe we would
Say ahead of it.
make a motion to approve the two change orders pending actual paperwork and pricing.
Second.
Yeah, all in favor?
Right. That's
Oh, you know what, back to the lighting, we're gonna have to have a flip the switch ceremony, right?
I was just about to say something about Rock the Block. Maybe we could do that. I know it'll be operational. Maybe we could do that at Rock the Block when it gets dark. That would be the time to do it. Have a big countdown and flip the switch and turn all the lights on. When
They won't be
everybody's there.
using it before that.
Oh, I'm sure they will, but
Yeah.
I'm just thinking that's a huge event with everybody there.
Yeah.
It's a big celebration.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, so we gotta figure that out, I don't know. You know, I would imagine the select board and those guys to invite, but whoever else would. be.
Yeah, I've been talking. So
Huge deal.
baseball has to donate their portion of the funds to the town, and I believe the select board has to formally vote to take it. I've been talking to Jeremy and I've been talking to baseball. They have to get a lawyer. They have to write a letter. I'm thinking sometime in June. It would be a Wednesday night. We should do the photo op and the shake hands and
Yeah,
you know, I mean they're going to donate $25,000 give or take. That's huge.
a big check kind of thing.
Yeah, but something like that. But yeah, we should think about a formal how we want to do a flip the switch, or maybe there might be a tournament. I did ask Chris Corbett if they had any tournaments scheduled. That might be an option too to do it.
Get a lot of people out.
You know, if they wanted to do it a separate thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good point. We'll have to do something
We're
to.
gonna plan ahead, so there was plenty of time to prepare.
Figure out how to do that. Yeah, that, and I did talk to Lonnie. So once people are back, we should set up a meeting to talk about Rock the Block, maybe at the end of April, and just check in. I assume it's nothing's, the same it's been.
Have they sent you a schematic of how they want everything laid out yet?
No, I
Nothing?
texted or I talked to Lonnie, and I know at the last meeting we said we wanted to meet with him, but then we were saying people had vacations and
Yeah.
we didn't have time. I haven't been able to go. I didn't see anything come out about meeting dates for them. I don't know if you or somebody from the brothers
No.
is connected with them yet. They may not be doing much, but it'd be good to just bring him into it. It's okay.
Between town
If that would be helpful because I don't think I can attend too many more night meetings. So if you don't mind being that person,
That's fine.
I think with this earlier date, we'll have more of our staff available and potentially we could even keep the beach open it that weekend. Assuming it's warm. That might be nice. And the other stuff I put on here was just to kind of recap where things are going with the budget and the position so that they approved our proposed grounds position. It is in the budget.
Oh, good.
So that's huge.
Under you? Yeah, oh, good. I know you guys meet about that after that.
Still gonna go to town
Yeah.
meeting and then Dan's gonna-
We have to negotiate the changes to my position, but I think they're not gonna
Yeah,
pass this over now.
Before the school or whoever those folks are looking for all that money. Meals
It's gonna go to town meeting in May.
But our request is part of the budget. With the school stuff is gonna be a debt exclusion.
It's different. That's do you see that? There's a group, I don't know what they're called, but they're looking for a lot of money.
I didn't think of it. So we have some time. We might want to take a position vote on that request once we know more about it.
So what is
The
it?
schools are coming forward with a debt exclusion to fund, among other things, the turf field project.
A lot of money.
So,
This goes roof,
the
fields
roof,
are gonna be the big
Is
one.
it all one?
no, it's the roof is separate because it's being financed by the state. And then I haven't dug into it. We're gonna hear tonight at CPA. They're asking for part of it to be funded through CPA. I don't know much about it yet, other than a meeting I went to 6+ months ago.
It was three different things, right? It was the roof,
The roof,
the fields, and one other thing. I can't
I don't
remember what the
remember.
other thing is.
physical building stuff, some of that door locks maybe, or
Could
key
be.
fobs.
Could be.
I mean, I don't know. My concern is, it's great and I'm sure they need it for the schools, but it's going to be primarily a school field. So
Yeah,
it doesn't
true.
necessarily benefit the
Yeah.
youth sports. It's going to be booked solid by the schools.
Yeah.
And turf's a lot of money.
A lot of upkeep.
Can we afford that right now? I don't know. But
I haven't heard much about it, which I think is not a good thing.
Yeah, right.
It needs to be put out there for everybody to decide on.
yeah, I'm told stuff is on the website. I didn't have time to look yet.
It's not through MRS,
The-
not through the school, but it's what's that other group? Not the one,
MSBA,
education.
thinking of
What is it?
the MSBA, the building, the roof is being funded that way.
Yeah. Could
Our
be.
share is like
It's on
25% of it.
Facebook. but I didn't.
Oh, I did that. Yeah, that they have a name. There's a group that's advocating for this.
What the
Yeah,
rest of it is.
community field something. Yeah. So the proposal for basically is the full-time maintenance would work under highway would basically be a foreman,
All right.
and then restructuring my job so it would end up being 20 hours parks, 5 for water, and 15 to focus on facilities to account for the fact that we're basically taking away some of my work. And then that, so my thought, and I know Jeremy didn't answer, I didn't want to bug him too much about talking about stuff. For the remainder of this fiscal year,
It doesn't matter.
I wouldn't worry about it. And then I think for next year, Jeremy can just rewrite the budget before we vote on it in May, but we should see what he says. So the proposal, that should be good to talk to
What's
the
the
team.
panel? have to be really well. Because there's gonna-
It's, you know what, though, it's in the budget. No one's,
It's
not an
Yeah, well, that's, yep, yep.
So it may not. Maybe you're right.
yeah, John and I went through a little bit and we're supposed to meet with Jeremy. So I think probably the proposal will be to move the equipment maintenance line, which is 2,000, fuel is 3,000, field maintenance is 4,500,
And then
the seasonal wages, and then site improvements. I think that way that person can administer it. Yeah.
So just.
That would take to people. Get all
So did I. I talked to somebody.
the- Yeah, yeah, right, right. Well,
Just so they have questions.
Especially if there
yeah,
people are going to be there. I mean, I think
yeah, you gotta-
it makes sense to have this fall under highway. So those projects, the oversight of that, that person has access to those funds to do their job. And then parks can focus on, programming, higher level capital projects. There is going to have to be some discussion about the revolving fund at some point.
Yeah, we should stay ahead of
Given,
that.
well, given the size of our fund, I think we're likely going to be asked to potentially support a portion or all, like the parks portion of my salary. They may want to try and access some of those funds. Yeah. I mean, the current balance is 220,000, which is huge. And then I think so like, you at the grounds person might say, hey, we really need to spend $10,000 and fix this dugout. And then Parks says, we're going to fund that from revolving because that's, versus
Yeah, we're not.
you say we have to fix the wall at the cemetery. That's not Parks.
Volunteers, I mean,
Right.
yeah, there's a lot.
Well, I look at even with us, so like, those bathrooms, yes, they're sports and all that, but anybody that wants to go use the playground, it's the public. The lights on the basketball court is the public. We may, and we'll see next year, we may want to reallocate how we handle some of our accounts. I did ask them for, speaking of change orders, for if they could add some parking lot lights. He's gonna look into it, just because that might save us some money in the long run.
Yeah,
on the
right.
budget, if we just have them ourselves paying grid.
Yep.
But yeah, so we had, the revolving account has a spending cap and we had to get them to raise it. And I have known that this discussion has been coming for a while, but it opened the door to some conversations and, I mean, the rec program is generating a lot of money. And at some point we would either significantly cut back on that where we need to spend that. And it seems like we're right on the edge of being able to start investing in some major projects. The parking lot is a big one. I'm trying to learn, I said, there's a few big ones that we need to look into. I mean, I'd love to get a building for the rec program, but that's years in the making. But irrigation on Tatro Field. We talked about the septic for the beach, stuff like that. You know, and then I think with this change too, if there's small equipment, I think it'd be fair to say, you know, hey, you know, can we buy that $500 mower, some trimmers,
Yeah, but again, you get
little
back to
things.
it's being used for the whole town.
Yeah, well, I think, you know, yeah. I mean, I would agree with you. My position is trying to be, you know, like I don't want them to think we're hoarding this money and it's only ours, and you know, we want to give back anywhere we can. It's not our money.
No, but it should be invested into the park and the beach specific, because that's where the money is coming from. Now, it shouldn't be invested into Old Cemetery
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I agree with you, yeah.
or Grover Field. Although we do we get usage fees out of Grover Field, so that could be
Yeah.
part of it. But my point is, these town buildings and the cemeteries and stuff, they're not part of that revolving fund, so it needs to be a discussion. I mean, obviously, looking at what is in the equipment maintenance budget. Or once it gets switched over to us, we're gonna run with it for a year and see how it is, and then I'm gonna be asking for more money. Or with fuel, we may just combine it.
Yeah.
We have a fuel budget through highway, we just have it all in one.
Yeah, that'd be my suggestion. Give it a year just so you can
Yeah.
see what lines up. I know fuel sometimes runs short.
But I'm not even gonna worry about that.
No, just to know what
We
spends
have a
what.
fuel budget down there, and I'm not gonna go and buy gas cans just for parks. We have gas cans down there, so everybody utilizes them. Doesn't make sense to be parks, that's highway, no.
So as far as the position goes, if this is approved at, it sounds like it's gonna get approved either way, but
July first.
July 1st, yeah.
Everything, so it's voted on that my title changes July 1st. That position.
That's a town meeting vote for that?
For
Part
mine,
of it? Yeah, or that's select board?
no, it's already done.
Oh, okay, it's done.
It's
All right.
done.
So that starts July
that's
1st.
a part of my contract
Okay.
with the town. That has nothing to do with town meeting
Yeah,
vote,
All right.
but this position is a July 1st.
Yeah.
We're hoping this gets approved in May. This position would be, the person would hit the ground running July 1st because the funding's there. So we would then be looking at, gets approved in May. We do interviews. We get this job out, and we can even post technically. So we know.
Yeah.
And say this is a July 1st start.
It'd be good to post it and just get, even if you're gonna wait to do interviews, get the word out that, hey, this is coming. It'd be interesting to hear, like, to chat with some of the youth groups and understand too what might change, because so our field use fees are nominal because we leverage them to do the work.
That is
Good point.
But now,
my plan. Going to
yeah,
talk.
say that the things to look to directions to look towards is, you know, at some point in the future, if we could in-house the fertilizer program, you know, maybe pesticides you do out because you need a license, but
You
basic
need-
fertilizer,
You should have-
and then like having the ability to do seeding. If we bought some sort of toe behind slice seeder, that's the stuff where I think we would be able to leverage.
When I was on
people.
Parks,
There is something, I don't know if it's still working, Raymond Hill, that thing, yeah. Yeah. You know, because I think, yeah, we run into a little bit of, not so much trouble, but it's hard when you have third parties doing work and trying to coordinate all that, and
Well, that's all part of
But that
the,
is just for health purposes.
yeah,
now,
that's all part of the, you know, what we're gonna present.
When you're fertilizing at the end of the season. It's a season.
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like just, I know, just to acknowledge them too, so softball just redid the base of the batting cage, and now that's all timbers, so you can mow around it. They replaced the door on the stand, and they patched that hole in the dugout. I'm sure baseball, I just saw Matt, the other day, he was starting to drag the infields. You know, so then if we can take on some of that work, because I think those guys are volunteering to do all that
Yeah.
work.
Yeah, they
for
are
sure.
on it. So that's like one of the, and I'm just still looking back to my experience of being on parks for 5 or 6 years. Is like, if you look at these infields right now, there's a lot of grass growing in them. When we cut the grass every week up there, we drag all those fields. We're gonna start doing the same thing again, because if you're dragging them every week, it doesn't give a chance for the grass to grow.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of cyclical. It depends on the volunteers, and
But if
now,
we can take
now we
away
can keep
from,
it.
if we can get away from some of that stuff that has to be done every year, like you're gonna go into the field and pull all the stuff, is it gonna be work right
It's a
now?
killer, yeah.
Yeah, but if we can stay on top of it
Yeah.
now with a full-time person, it's gonna cut down on.
And I think even with the lights, it's kind of like we want it to look good because we're really
With the
putting the
lights
money
now,
into it. And,
We're putting the lights in there, and the fields are looking good.
oh
We
yeah,
have lights up there.
I agree.
Yeah,
no
fix the
kidding.
parking lot next.
Yeah.
Take a
But
look.
that's another thing that you now have.
Right.
This goes through. You have this heavy equipment at your disposal. Maybe we come to this board.
They can do the work.
This board and say, "Hey, we need X amount of dollars from the revolving fund for materials, but we can do the work to fix the parking lot."
Yeah. Yeah, it's a long time coming, that's for sure.
Yeah.
We're on the home stretch.
Well, just
Yeah.
merging with highway, because I think that was the issue we had in the past, was where it was like two departments trying to fight over a resource. So I think by centralizing that through your position, I think it will help a
And
lot
on top of that,
Yeah.
if they can coordinate. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We have a backlog.
You know what? I just think that's where Mendon's at now. We gotta grow with the times, Mendon's become a hot community and people expect it. They expect it to look good. They expect the grounds to look good. And you can't do it you're trying to maintain it in the fall by yourself.
Right.
That's
Well, then,
impossible.
And not to mention all the, like that whole email thread about this campus, there's, weeks worth of just detail work on a random town building. Forget about the fields and all that. Every one of these properties needs a ton more of like intricate work,
That's gonna be the hard part.
and have somebody dedicated to that. They can focus on it, and you can just say, "Oh yeah, go talk to so and so."
You got the warmer day.
Yeah. I think that's pretty much it. I don't know if we can chat after the meeting too. I don't know if you've got any more paving stuff. I'm not. I could text the guy again. I think he's just super, super busy. But as soon as we get free quotes, I think we should just jump on it. I mean, we may have to wait till July 1, depending on the number. We got to fix the driveway going up to the playground. It's just the winter killed it.
All right, too, you can't even.
Oh, yeah.
So we've had.
I'll text him again.
I have a quote from one of them.
We may want to put a bollard in front of the light pole that's going to go on the corner there. And we may actually, when they do it, we may want to actually have them shift it a little bit away from the tennis court, but that's trivial. Yeah.
We can do that.
But yeah, that I think we'll have to update. But I think other than that, we're in decent shape. I've started cleaning stuff out. We had some scouts do a cleanup at the beach, so that's good. I can order some signage and stuff
What kind of signage?
down the beach, banners. We gotta put some screens on the fence. I'm still gonna get in there and clean out the rest of the beach house. I'm starting the process, turn the water on, so it'll be on for opening day. I think what else needs to happen?
And any word on the Cobble Boat Race? Has he decided to go on the weekend
I'm
or
gonna go talk to him.
The
no update?
date that they want right now is July 22nd. It's a Tuesday with a rain date of the following 29th, but
I don't.
that's I mean,
I
I would go chat with him and see what he thinks. Nothing's really been promoted yet. Oh, and before you have to leave, I did get a little more information about the alcohol vendor. I need to talk to Jeremy, which I have not had a chance to do, to understand if we need to like advertise it as an opportunity. It sounds like there's a couple different ways we could do it. Like we could charge the vendor a fee so that we charge them $500 to show up. I have no idea what the fee would
What are we
be.
talking about?
Alcohol for the concerts. If we hired a vendor to come in and just sell alcohol, so they have the permit, they have the license. We're not shelling out. They have the insurance, or they just make money. But I think if it's an opportunity for somebody to come make money, you have to offer it to multiple people.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to understand exactly how that would work and what we need to do. But that might be worth it. Something.
Could that potentially can draw in bigger crowds?
We've tried it. We can't do it. So somebody can come do it. And I know Chris Hadfield said something about maybe timing something he wants to do that they could also partake of this vendor. I think he's been trying to do more like adult type programming. I think that's it. Unless is there anything else I'm forgetting?
Yeah, we went to that thing behind
So just on your agenda,
What else?
update and continued discussion on Morrison Drive.
Oh. Yeah, I've left that as a standing item. I mean, I think with this change of position, maybe things change a little bit that, now I guess it's really your problem on where to put all the crap. But I still think, if there was an opportunity to get the old senior center and, it would have, or even Morrison Drive, it would have immense value as a community space, as offices.
Yeah, I know the fire department has made a proposal to utilize that Morrison Drive space as well.
Mm. Even if we don't necessarily need it for garage space anymore, it would, to partner with them and build a community space.
Town approved us putting in a storage building. It was gonna be for our signs and barricades and stuff like that, but we're looking to expand that building to have a garage. Get approved for was 24 by 32, and I think 28 by 40. Just gonna be a pole barn, but someplace to store. And have electricity in there, but
That's all you need for a lot of the random mowers and things that you only like the tow behind, whatever.
so obviously that is, we were only approved so much money, so if we're expanding the size, it's gonna cost more money. So now you're gonna have the conversation with Jeremy about as to where that money's gonna come from.
They allocated some money, and I don't know if it was too specific, towards the whole Morrison Drive situation. And I think it's ARPA funds. It's a use it or lose it. But I don't know if it was general enough that it could be towards a maintenance garage in general. Maybe some of those funds can be accessed. Because that would make a lot of sense to just, at least for storage and figure out what you can do down there.
But we're also,
Yeah.
we can make some room in the garage for certain things.
The struggle we had with Highway was just the fact that it was two different things. So it was like, we have to
Sure.
bury your parks truck for the plows. But if I have all the licenses, I can also pull big trucks out of the way to get the truck because I can drive those vehicles versus some random, me. You don't want me trying to have to move a 10-wheeler to get the truck out. So it changes things by having it all be you now.
Yeah, but.
They can be a lot more
again,
collaborative. Right. Take any truck, really.
That's the other thing too, is we have. We talked about truck, there's also two different crews. But they have.
Something delivered, because you can just take the dump truck and go pick it up. Mulch, that kind of stuff. That'll be, I think there'll be savings there.
I think that's it.
I think so.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
There.
Aye.